After the mammoth success of Call of Duty in 2003, publisher Activision knew they had a hit franchise in the making.
Good job, son!
They spun the title off to several other studios, who made games that did decent enough but did not live up to the original in either quality or sales. But when developer Infinity Ward released a full sequel, they were met with even greater acclaim than the first time around. As Call of Duty 2 went on to become the Xbox 360's most popular title by far, the team got to work right away on a third game in the series. There was only one problem. Activision already had a third game in the works. Realizing that Call of Duty had turned into one of the biggest franchises, Activision decided that they wanted to have a Call of Duty title released every year. Infinity Ward was already under tremendous pressure to release a quality title every 2 years and could not meet that request. But because Activision owned Infinity Ward and all their properties outright, it was a simple matter for them to give Call of Duty 3 to somebody else. And so Treyarch, another Activision-owned developer, was tasked with creating a COD title every alternate year, so that both Treyarch and Infinity Ward would produce a title every 2 years. Infinity Ward has never publicly commented on this arrangement, but given how fiercely proud they are of their work, it is generally assumed that they were and are not happy with it. But Treyarch had their work cut out for them, and they diligently went to work on their game, which was billed as a full sequel to Call of Duty 2. Call of Duty 3 was released on November 7, 2006, almost exactly a year after Call of Duty 2. The title departed from its Infinity Ward predecessor in several ways. This was the first major numbered release of the franchise that was console exclusive, even coming to the last-gen PS2 and Xbox One. As such, the PC market, where the franchise had been born, was left in the dust. Second, they finally abandoned the aging Quake 3 engine the whole series had been built around and developed a proprietary one just for COD 3. Lastly, just as the original had gone beyond the American experience and showed off the other major allies of the war, COD 3 would feature countries usually looked over, specifically Canada and Poland, giving the game an even more global flavor than previous titles.
Incoming! Fuller, radio in! We need the Canadians! Radio's gone! We've no more support!
More importantly, the game was inevitably compared to its illustrious Infinity Ward predecessors, and to most gamers and critics, it didn't measure up. While considered a decent enough game in its own right, most players found that it simply lacked the polish and refinement of the first two titles, much like the earlier spin-off Call of Duty titles, some of which Treyarch had worked on. Accordingly, its sales, while good, didn't measure up to Infinity Ward. On top of all this, by late 2006, the World War II shooter market had been positively saturated. The genre that Call of Duty had helped to define was beginning to destroy itself. But Infinity Ward had sensed this before it happened, and they themselves were hungry for a new challenge. And so, while Treyarch was putting the finishing touches on Call of Duty 3, Infinity Ward was already in the planning stages of the most radical change in their own franchise's young history. Tune in next time to see how Infinity Ward pumped new life into the entire FPS genre.